this ever happened to you? It's pretty sad, isn't it? Well, all the best intentions, you've gone out, bought some trees, and they've died at the back door. Well, don't think you're alone. Research some years ago showed that 70% of plants that are bought late on a Sunday afternoon die in their pots unwatered. Well, it doesn't have to be like that.
You ain't never seen it done like this. We got the club on lock, and you can't be stopped.
So forget about the impulse buy. Do your homework first and decide what sort of tree you really want. If you want shade all year round, my choice would be one of the lily-pilly varieties or a simple Mediterranean olive tree. How about the Tuckaroo Coupaniopsis, a great all-round evergreen native tree? If you want shade during summer, I don't reckon you can go past the deciduous Kurrajong, tough in drought country. In a big space, how about the Magnolia alba? Absolutely stunning. Okay, you've made your decision to buy your plant. In this case, it's a bottle brush. So when do you get it in? As soon as you possibly can. But if you can't, then here's a couple of tips on what you can do. Get yourself a bucket of water and add some really good hydrating seaweed solution. Now that's going to help the seaweed and the water penetrate right deep into the root ball in your pot. And then just pop it in and watch the bubbles rise. Now once the water has risen to the surface, that'll take about 5 or 10 minutes. Don't leave it there, you'll get root rot. So just take that out of the water and then pop it straight onto the saucer. Now that means the water is draining out into the saucer and that'll hydrate your plant for another 4 or 5 days. Don't leave it any longer than a few days, maybe next weekend at the latest. Get your plant back into the ground. A few things to look for when you're buying a small tree. Have a look at the top. Healthy, no insects, no diseases. But you know, the problems often lie in the container. Have a look at this one. Roots coming out the bottom of the pot. You'd think they're all pretty much the same age. This one is older and it's already root bound. Leave it in the nursery. This fellow, well, it's got a lot of roots there. No roots here and a lot of roots in the bottom. This one is going to need a lot of root pruning before you'd pop it into the garden. If you're comfortable doing that and you feel capable, then go for it. But if you're not, have a look at this little fella. Oh, beautiful. Lots of soil, fresh new roots. This is the one that we're planting. Autumn, without a doubt, is the best time to plant. Soils are warm, air's cooling down. Just try and avoid the extremes of cold and heat. All you need now is a bit of patience to wait for your tree to grow. But here's another idea. You can spend a bit more money and buy 5 years' growth in a bigger tree. What I've decided to do is to buy my 5+ years with this super advanced Eleocarpus humundii. It's a beautiful native tree, evergreen, red new growth up the top there, and a nice big root ball to plant out. Okay lads, bring in the bobcat.
I know I make it look easy.
Now comes the fun part, putting this big beauty into the ground. But remember, big or small, the same planting principles apply. Okay, now this is the spot we're going to put our Eleocarpus, 5 or 6 metres away from the house, in the middle of the lawn. Now you could dig it with a spade, dig the hole, but I've decided to get Mitch in to give me a hand. And of course, always dial before you dig. Go for it, mate.
I know I make it look easy, but sure you gotta believe it. Don't believe what you see, it's a show, yeah. We put in the work, we go hard to the sundown.
Thanks, Mitch. Okay, now the size of the hole is critical, whether it's a little tube stock or a super advanced tree. It needs to be at least twice the width so that the roots can get out to get anchorage. They'll go down in their own time, but the horizontal roots are really important. The depth, about 1.5 times the depth of the pot. Again, it doesn't matter what size it is, they're the dimensions you've got to keep to. The boys are going to slit down the side of the bag just to open it up. Give it a bit of a final root prune. That's just with a sharp spade or secateurs, just cutting off that last growth of roots. Once it gets into the hole, it'll encourage a whole new root system much more quickly. Now they're just sort of strapping it up. While they're doing that, I just wanted to mention that this is really handy in the time to install an irrigation system. This has got perforations all the way along it. And if you just sit it up around about yay high, it's really easy to water. Okay lads, a really important feature of these super advanced trees, you'll notice on the side of the bag, it says north, because that's the way the tree's been grown, facing north. Now how do we know? Because the Bag is already gone. We've got a little stick there on the northern side. So as you're swinging it around to plant it, it must go in the same northern direction. If you don't, you'll get sunburn come summer. Okay, well that made things a lot easier. Now we'll get Mitch to put the soil back in. And the base soil, you'll notice, goes back into the base and the top soil goes around at the top. You don't mix them up, it causes problems with the root growth. Okay, now that our tree's in, it's time to give it a feed. You've got two options. You can go the organic way, but dogs just love it and they'll dig it up. This way is actually a controlled release, much better, and it's for native plants. And the last thing to do is to get water where it's needed most, down into the root system. Long may she live.